let me take you back to my story. Back in 2016, I was still in the corporate world. And I had plans to climb the corporate ladder to the top. And my boss used to tell me plans like 5 years ahead of time. And I had these plans to go back to school, educate myself, become, the person that is worthy of that corporate ladder. But one day I went to work and my boss called me in for a meeting. I thought it was a meeting to bring him up to speed with what has been happening, because he used to travel a lot. So when I got in that morning, the look on his face, when someone calls you and you look at, that something is wrong. So just walking in, I looked at him, I'm like, something is wrong, but I didn't know what was wrong. So I stood there hoping that he will tell me, and he just sat there quiet looking at me. And in that moment, I felt my heart pounding out of my chest, because I'm like, okay, this is serious. He's not even talking. The silence took probably 20 seconds, but it felt like eternity. So eventually he said I should sit down, and I sat down. He said, sorry, there's some restructuring going on, and we have been wondering how to tell you, but there's no better way to tell you than, sorry, Nicky, we have to let you go. And those words hit me like a truck on high speed, because I did not see retrenchment coming. Based on the plans my boss used to discuss with me, like 5 years ahead of time, we're going to do this, we're going to expand, we'll do this. And then that day he said, sorry, we are restructuring and we have to let you go. So that is how I became retrenched. That's how I became jobless. All of my plans to climb the corporate ladder were just crumbling right in front of me. And when he said, sorry, we have to let you go, apparently he continued talking to me, trying to make me feel better about it, I guess. But I didn't hear any word that came after that. I'm trying to rethink everything in my head, like, what just happened? I didn't see this coming. I had no plan B. That was just me. I was just planning, okay, I'm going to go back to school. And my boss was very in support of me going back to school. And then this happened. So what happened was that when I left work, or now that I'm jobless, I started asking these questions like, how do organizations continue to thrive when they let go so many people, Because for me, when it happened, I started hearing a lot of news about retrenchment. That experience when you buy a car for the first time, or you buy a particular mark of car, you start seeing that particular mark of car everywhere. So in my case, because I had been retrenched, news about retrenchment jumped on me all the time. When I turned on the news, when I turned on the radio, I would hear more about it.
It became your focus.
It became my focus.
Like when you buy a red Toyota Corolla, all you see is Toyota Corolla.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because that became my focus and it kept jumping on me, I became very curious. Even though I was in pain, to say that period was one of the most devastating moments of my life would be an understatement. I was broken with retrenchment, So even today, when I hear people who are retrenched and they're going through stuff, I'm like, I understand. I know how it feels. You're like in the dark place. So as time went on, my pain translated into curiosity. Now, where I started asking questions like, how do organizations continue to thrive when they let go so many people? Because I will hear so much news on TV about organizations letting go thousands and thousands of employees, within a very short space. So I'm thinking to myself, aren't people supposed to be the lifeblood of any organization? So if these number of people go, what happens to an organization? But what I'm seeing is that in most organizations, productivity increases, profits increases, efficiency increases. I'm like, what is happening? What is happening at the back end? I want to know. So I threw myself on the internet, and I literally remember typing the question on Google: how do organizations continue to thrive when they let go so many people? And for the first time, 2016, 2017, the idea of the fourth industrial revolution was still like starting. It wasn't as popular as it is now. So for the first time, I came across concepts like artificial intelligence, automation, all of these new technologies that are replacing people at work. And it sounded to me like Chinese language, so to say, a language you don't understand, a language you can't speak. And I became even more fascinated by that. I'm like, oh, there's a whole new world out here that I wasn't paying attention to. I didn't know anything about tech. Besides sitting on my laptop and working, besides answering phone calls, there was nothing beyond that about technology that I knew. And now I'm sitting here on the internet, and I'm seeing things about automation. I'm seeing people being replaced by software. I'm seeing people, things that used to be done by humans are now being done by machines. I was fascinated, and I started writing about it on social media, just sharing my thoughts. Remember, I'm jobless. I have a lot of time in my hands.
On your hands, yeah.
So I started writing about it, and people became intrigued by what I was writing. Like, they would ask questions, and I thought, oh, people are just as intrigued about this as me. And sometimes some people would ask questions as though I was now an expert in tech, and I was just as clueless as everyone. So the people that I thought these people would understand how technology is changing the world, they were the same people that were coming to me with questions. And I felt like, oh.
So tech people were coming to you and asking you questions.
Like, I thought this is your field. You're asking me. I'm really literally digging myself into this rabbit hole and trying to uncover what is going on here. So because of those questions, I realized that people were interested in what I had to say. So I kept writing about it on social media. And then at some point, I started a blog. That's when I actually started my website. Then started writing blog articles about it. But I didn't think anything would come of it. But at some point, I thought to myself, I think someone should write a book about this. Then I was like, no way. I cannot even be having these thoughts in my mind. I'm not that smart. That's what I told myself. Because I thought that writing a book, you need to be really, really smart to write a book, right? I was like, no way. I'm not that smart. I'm not an academician by any stretch of imagination, right? And I don't even have a degree. I just have basic education. I'm like, how do I even start writing a book? My English is so broken that you need to, put the pieces together to understand. These were the words at the back of my mind. That's what I was saying to myself, that no, I don't qualify to write a book. So I sort of dismissed the idea of the book. And I told myself, no, I will just keep writing blog articles about it. Someone is going to write a book about it eventually. When an idea has taken hold of you.
Were you doing research as you write these articles?
Yes, of course. I was researching and writing about it. So when an idea has taken hold of you, it's like if you don't give in to that idea, it sort of makes you a little bit miserable. So the idea about writing a book wouldn't leave me. And I remember actually going to a friend and asking him, hey, do you think I can write a book? He's like, of course, Nicky, you're smart. You're going to write a book. So those words gave me a little bit of confidence to write the book. And I actually remember going now, no longer researching about technology, but more research around writing a book. How do you write a book? Where do you start? And all of that. And I remember listening to a particular workshop that Miles Monroe had. And he said, everyone has a book in them. You can decide to take your book to the grave, or you can decide to give it to the world. Yeah. That was the statement that made me realize, okay, Nicky, you have to do this. And I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to write the book. And I thought to myself, what better title than Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted? Because here I was minding my business and my boss disrupted my life. So it evolved from those social media posts to blog articles and to the book. And I tell people when they ask me,
Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted.
Yes, that's the title of my book.
Sure.
Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted. Because I felt like we are now in an era where it is not even what you do. Mm-hmm. You are going to be disrupted either way, either by choice or by circumstances. That is the world in which we are living today.